Hi, I am Dr. Shankar Basu. I am affiliated to the Department of Microbiology at Ashutosh College under University of Calcutta, Kolkata. And I am also an external scientific collaborator at the 3Bio group in ULB Brussels, Belgium. I am primarily a computational biophysicist, but today we are not going to discuss anything about biophysics, but today instead we are going to feed our brains and our minds by some useful and positive, practically applicable thoughts. And as you can see in the title, it's entitled as Realize You Are a Very Powerful Source of Energy. Science also speaks for that, and as you can see here in the miniature, if we think ourselves as machines, that we have a very high capacity that can be fine-tuned to actually harvest a lot of what we call psychic energy or vital energy. But to make matters simple, let's begin with a very beautiful popular anecdote. This is a story of a sibling, a brother and a sister, and the brother is 2 years older than the sister, but the other is 6, sis is 4. And they're just passing by a market while the brother realized that the sister is lagging behind, and he just turns back and finds that his beloved sister is wandering at a toy shop, looking at through the windows of the shop, and there was something that got her attracted. So the boy turned back and went to her beloved sis and asked, "Do you want something?" The cute sister, with so much pristine innocence, she just pointed at the doll. "I want that." So the boy held her hand, and like a real responsible elder brother, mind you, he's just 6 years old, he just went to the shop, picked the doll, and gave it to her sister. The sister was very, very happy. The shopkeeper, an old fellow and a nice person he was watching everything and getting amused to see such a mature behavior of the boy at an age of 6. Old shopkeeper, I mean, he was a cool man, and had experienced a lot of odds in life. So he asked the boy with lots of love and affection. When the boy was curious to ask the price, "What can you pay?" And the boy took out all the shells that he had collected from the seashore from his pocket and gave them to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper took the shells and with extreme maturity and very serious face, he started counting the shells as if he was counting currencies. And then he looked at the boy. The boy asked him worriedly, "Is it less?" So he was a bit worried, and that also adds a lot of drama to the anecdote. Such a beautiful narrative it is. And the shopkeeper said, "No, these are more than the cost, so I'll return the remaining." And he did so. He just kept 4 shells and returned the rest of them to the boy. The boy very happily kept all the shells back in his pocket and went away with his sister. Well, while all this drama was going on, a servant, very curious mind, he was watching his master. Common man. He's a common man. He's looking from a common man's spec. So he was amused. He was rather irritated also. So he asked surprisingly his master, "Sir, you gave away such a costly doll for just 4 shells." And the shopkeeper said with a smile, "It's in bold. That's why it is in bold. It should be in bold with a genuinely beautiful smile coming right straight from the heart." He says, "Well, for us, these are merely shells, but for the boy, they're very precious, you see. And at his age, he doesn't understand what is the value of money. So, but when he grow up, he definitely will. And when he would remember that he purchased a little doll for his beloved little sis with the shells instead of money, he'll remember me and think that the world is full of good people. It will help him develop a positive attitude, and he too, in turn, will feel motivated to be good. And that vibration, that positive vibe will be relayed from myself to the little boy and to the world therein. So that's essentially the anecdote, and so what's the take home from all this is that whatever emotion we infuse into the world, it will further spread. If we do good, goodness will spread. If we do bad, negativity will spread. Our good or bad will come back to us magnified, several folds, mind you. Not in the ways we want it, but probably not in the ways we can understand it, but it will come back. So I'd like to quote from this very famous and one of my favorite novels, Siddhartha by Herman Hesse, where the ferryman Vasudeva, he says to Siddhartha, like the river, everything returns and nothing remains the same. And I would also like to contextualize this with Newton's famous third law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Laws of karma, I mean, in different scriptures, in different cultures, the same thing is being preached. So whatever you give, it will return to you. That's the essential message. But having so much appreciated the romantic nature of this very beautiful anecdote, we must realize that life in 21st century is more complex than that of the simple and beautiful anecdote, because it is contaminated with a lot of poison. So in the last 100 years or so, what the art is remaining to have seen, we have seen guillotines, we have seen gas chambers, concentration camps, we have witnessed massacres, mass massacres, genocides, Holocaust, and nuclear bombing, whatnot, the war in Vietnam, whatnot. So there is a lot of violence, there is a lot of differentiation, ethnic majority, minority. It's not really a harmonious planet anymore for us to sustain. So in a practical sense, it's very difficult to spread positive energy because you are not getting it from your surroundings, most of us. In most cases, we are really going through a dysphoric time. The world is, following the cycle of creation and destruction, as have been foreseen by all the messiahs. In a practical way, if we want to spread positive energy, it probably requires what the great men, the great sage have termed as transcendence to a higher state. So I would like to quote a few of them. One is, of course, my heartthrob still when I look at Starry Night, Vincent van Gogh, and from his biography written by Irving Stone, a very famous novel, Last for Life, there is a quote. It says, "Hatred is one of the more obscure forms of love, and sometimes breeds a stronger sense of duty." Gautama Buddha, the forefather of the Eastern culture and civilization, if I may put it that way, he says hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love, and this is the eternal rule. And so says all these great messiahs of the last century. As a matter of fact, both were politicians, and they exemplified through their own lives what tolerance is, and what resistance is, and how you can overcome hatred. That's not through hatred, right, but only through love. We can also take a look back into the raw nature, as we all know that nature is the best teacher. Our world was once upon a time an anaerobic world, as some of us know. It was a sulfur world, so oxygen and sulfur falls in the same group of the periodic table, so they share common properties. So in that time, there was still, life has, life was there. It was an anaerobic life and microorganisms mostly, but oxygen was toxic to that form of life. But gradually, throughout the evolution of millions of years, of course, it took a lot of time. There was biomolecular evolution of enzymes like catalyst peroxidase and sulfoxide dismutase, and all these enzymes that could actually scavenge the free radicals of oxygen to detoxify its harmful effect, and then utilize it for a greater cause, much greater harvest of energy. with all this mitochondria and all the Krebs cycle and all the aerobic respiratory processes, biosynthetic pathways, they got evolved. Might try to learn more from nature. We are getting data from it. We should restrict ourselves in that trajectory and again take time from our busy schedule to go back into the nature and study it more carefully. It teaches us buffering, it teaches us absorbance, and it teaches us utilization. So that can only come if we survey the root cause of negativity and suffering and do accordingly. I just want to end on that note that let there be light and let there be love even in this dysphoric time that we are going through. So that's all I wanted to say. If you have any queries, suggestions, please write to me at my email address given below, and you are all welcome to visit my homepage. The link is given there. Thank you so much.